Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month. I like to bring authors into my home and we talk about books, writing, life as an author, and whatever comes to mind. And tonight, I knew I was going to mess it up. Damyanti Biswas is joining me this evening. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me. And you were perfect with my name. It is Damyanti. And hi, everyone. So lovely to see you all.
I am so excited to have you this evening. And I have to mention that you are all the way in Singapore.
Yes, where it is the future, 9 a.m. in the morning. The world is safe and sound. We are
Tomorrow.
all wake up tomorrow safe and sound. So a word of reassurance from the future.
And it's already Tuesday. It's already
Yeah,
Tuesday, 1:24, and the world is existing. So we will be there tomorrow. I love it.
lots of gratitude. We are still here.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about your books and your writing career. But before we get started, can you just give me a little background to yourself, whatever you want to share with, I guess, the rest of the world?
I'm Damyanti Biswas. I am an Indian author. I'm based out of Singapore. My latest book, The Blue Bar, was released in January, 1st of January, uh, uh, from Thomas and Mercer, crime imprint of Amazon. And my first book, You Beneath Your Skin, was published by Simon and Schuster India, and it was optioned by Endemol Shine, the folks behind a series like Broadchurch. So I'm excited to be an author right now.
What a fantastic start I mean, this was your debut novel. The Beneath Your Skin was your debut. That
Yes, You
came out
Beneath Your Skin was my debut novel.
And that
Yes,
came out last year. Am I correct?
that came out quite some time ago.
Oh,
Actually,
quite
it
some
came
time ago.
Yeah, it came out in 2019, and then we had the pandemic, so we took a break from life. And then when publishing revived, I had a book deal, and it came out on the 1st of January.
Well, congratulations on getting a screen up. That is fantastic news.
Thank you so much. They have just extended the option, and it should go on the floor soon. So they are talking, screenplay and stuff like that. Things I don't
I'm
understand,
excited
but
for
they're all
you.
things. Yeah.
I am excited for you. That is incredible. Wow. I want to pause. We have a lot of people joining us. So I want to say hi to a few people. Again, I'm here with Damyanti Biswas, and she is all the way in Singapore. If you have any questions for her, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will go ahead and get to as many as I can. But let me see who's joining us. We have Karen. She says, El Muy, whatever that means, but okay. I think it means this. Welcome. And then Tracy is here. She says, hello, ladies. And then Sherry is here. I'm just scrolling through the comments to say hi to you all. We have Melissa. We have Sharon. She says,
I will start.
and let's see. Oh, Karen says she loves your accent. And then we have another Karen. She says, hello. Leisha is here. Hi, Tina. And Damyanti. I'll get it. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No, you're doing fine, Tina.
And then Elaine is here.
Hi,
And we have a couple
Elaine.
of Facebook users. I just want to say hi to them because I know they're in my group because the group's private. But hello to you. Thank you for joining us. We have Tina and one more. Let's see. Who haven't I clicked on? Okay, Darlene. She's here. So if you have questions for Damyanti, go ahead and put them in the comments. So back to your books. First of all, what genre would you say these books are?
Well, the genre is more of a literary thriller, so it's more atmospheric, more emphasis on characters. Some of the readers of The Blue Bar have called it a literary noir because of how dark it is and for the emphasis on characters. So there is space, but there is also a lot of atmosphere and emphasis on the characters' lives.
Wow. And have you always loved to write? Because like I said, 2019-18 was your first debut, was your first book. Have you always liked to write, or how did you get into writing a
Well,
novel?
I am, and was a reader first and foremost. So I am like a read more books fan. I am.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So I'm forever reading. I came into writing quite late in life, and I had no clue I would be writing. But I was married and jobless in a new country in Malaysia. My husband was sick of me. He was like,
Oh
"You
no.
always worked, and you should get a job." So I got a job, and he got me an old typewriter, and with the I and the Y keys missing. I wrote an article on it for the princely sum of $20 US, and it was off to the races from there. One
Wow.
of the editors said, "Well, your language is too flowery. Get rid of the flowery language. Go do like a fiction workshop or something. Let out some steam." And I've been getting it out of my system ever since. So I'm an accidental writer, completely by accident. If when I was 10 years old, or even when I was 28 years old, you would have asked me, would I be a writer? I would have laughed like just as much as anyone else. So, no, I never had ambitions of being a writer.
Well, it sounds like it was an accident meant to happen because your success is amazing. And
No.
with the screen up, how did that come about? Did your publisher do the?
No, we had the rights to the screen option. So my agent my last agent was based in the UK, and he kind of got in touch with my screen agent who is based out of Mumbai, and they kind of spoke to each other and sent the books out, and then Endemol Shine ended up liking it very, very much, and they ended up buying it. I don't know anything about the process
Oh,
and how it
fantastic story,
happened.
though. I mean, this.
I just know it took very, very long for the whole contract to go through. It was like 15 pages of gobbledygook I didn't understand, so I was very glad.
You just signed.
Yeah, I just knew, I just verified the money.
There
I
you
verified
go. The important part.
number of years and things like that. Just the main stuff. But
Yeah.
herein and thereafter and hereinafter, all of that, I was like very glad I was paying agents to do that.
I am
So
so happy for you. Just an amazing story. It really is. Now, when it comes to your book, I'm going to start with the first one, then we'll get on to the blue bar. But the first one that got you going in your writing, what inspired the story? And can you just give us a little background to it without, of course, giving too much away?
You Beneath Your Skin is set in New Delhi. It is the story of an Indian American woman a psychologist, who moves to New Delhi and has struggles with her. She's a single mother. She is struggling with her son who has autism. And she is in love with this guy who is a police commissioner in New Delhi police, but he's a married guy. And that's where it starts. And there are serial killings that are being investigated in the background. And the story is about these two, the psychologist Anjali Morgan and Jatin Bhatt, who's the police commissioner. And the book, I started writing it in 2011. I had no clue what I was doing. I literally taught myself how to write a novel. I was a very slow learner. But somewhere down the line, the book became about acid attacks against women, because I was searching for a metaphor that would make the violence against women, made visible. So you cannot
Mhm.
ignore an acid attack. A woman who has suffered an acid attack will carry the scars lifelong.
Wow.
And because it kind of started as a plot point, but when I met my first acid attack survivor and she became a friend, then it was no longer like a metaphor or a plot point. Then I really, when you see someone as a person, then they are no longer a plot point to you, they are
Mhm.
friends. So I began volunteering with them, and I was already volunteering with another organization called Project Y, where they work for women and children in underprivileged areas for their education. So they educate and empower them. So while volunteering with these two organizations, I finished the draft. I kind of finished I think the sixth or the seventh or the eighth draft in
Wow.
2015. I queried in the UK and I got an agent in the UK. So I was represented by the Johnson and Alcock agency. And then we went on sub. But finally, the book sold to Simon and Schuster India because it was thought of as an Indian story. And from there went on. The story goes from there. We went on to options. The book became an Amazon bestseller. But and throughout, these two organizations were always there. I was supporting them. They were supporting me. So even now, all the proceeds of You Beneath Your Skin, whether it is from the screen option or whether it is from the royalties, it goes straight away to these organizations,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
who are suffering acid attacks. And uh, if you look them up, they are the people who deserve all the support. So I would encourage everybody who's watching this to go check out Project Y, WHY. And if you just Google them, you'll find them. Project Y has a branch in the UK, it has a branch in the US where you can support them. And Stop Acid Attacks, the name kind of explains itself. If you Google them as well, they have a huge Facebook page and they do amazing, amazing work with acid attack survivors. So they deserve a lot of support.
What a great cause and what a great thing to be involved in. It's really
It, it was, they have given me more than I could ever hope to give them. And they have helped me grow as a person. They have kind of educated me in so many ways. And I'm really grateful.
wow. What an incredible story. Thank you for that. I love hearing the background of the books and what inspired you, what inspired authors to write them. That's an incredible story. It really is. Now, do you write full time? Is this your
Now, yes, I
now?
do.
I like that.
Yes, I do, because now once you're on contract, it's kind of hard to, do both, do freelance writing as well as writing fiction. But I have the privilege to be able to write full time because I have support from the family. So, yeah, I write full time now.
And you write every day. You treat it, of course, like your job. You write every day.
I don't know if I write every day unless I'm drafting or editing, but I do write something, or I do something about writing. So I'm either outlining or researching,
Something to
or
do with the book.
there is something about writing that is being done. And on the days that I'm not writing, I'm still writing inside my head because, as you know, and as we all know, this is a 24 by 7 job and
Yeah.
it's invisible. You could be
Mhm.
just sitting there and
I
staring
know.
into space, but it's like a swan on water furiously paddling underneath. So
I
that
go to
was,
sleep thinking about my books. I wake up thinking about my books. And
yeah.
I
So that,
eat. Yeah.
to me, I count it as writing. Many of us tend to be very unforgiving with ourselves and we tend to carry a lot of guilt. But I kind of decided that the world is going to be unkind enough. The one person who should be kind to myself is me. I should just start there. So,
What
yeah.
a great attitude. That's a great attitude. I love that. Do you have copies of your books close by?
Yes, I do. So
Can we,
here's,
yeah, bring some up to the front and we can show them the covers.
so
So
this
this,
is You Beneath Your Skin.
I love
And
these covers.
this is, I don't know if you
Blue
can
bar.
see the blue bar. So
I
I
love
can't
how
see.
they just jump out at you. I mean, the font is huge, which is great, and they
Yeah.
just jump out at you. Did you have any say in the cover design?
Yes, very uncharacteristically, yes, because for You Beneath Your Skin, Simon and Schuster had very different ideas for the cover. One of them was yellow and purple, and that simply wouldn't do. So,
No, no yellow and purple.
no. So if you look carefully, my input was, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but you can see a person's face
Yes,
if you see it very closely. And that face is kind of, obscured. And then the title is on top. So
yes,
you
I do see
need
it.
to look at it closely to see that there's a face. So that was my input. And in the blue bar, I had asked, I had requested whether they'll have these blue sequins, and they did. And we went through a lot of drafts of this one, and there's a bit of blood, if you can see, and torn sequins, and
I
so
do.
yeah. So if you look at the cover carefully, it kind of
I
says
love
more.
covers that when you keep looking at it, you see more.
Yeah.
I do. And with you pointing those out, I love that. I really do. Now, um, how long did it take you to write a book? Like, okay, the first book. Let's start with the first book. How long did it take you to write that book before it went to the editors or the process that you go through? I know you
Well,
said 8 drafts.
I started writing it in 2011.
Oh,
I
wow.
was the sixth or seventh draft in 2015. Then I did about two drafts with my agent, or maybe three drafts, if I remember correctly. So then with my editor at Simon and Schuster, I did another draft or two. So it was published finally in 2019. So it took 8 years from inception to publication. For the first one. For the Blue Bar, I wrote the whole thing in a draft. I took a month off life to just write, and it was like kind of a self care or self torture, whatever you call it, gift to myself. And so I went away to Malaysia. I switched off my phone, didn't talk to my husband, my parents, no one, my friends. I just disappeared off social media, off everything for a month. I went in with a sort of a broad outline, and I came back with 90,000 words. So yeah, so that was in 2019. By 2020, my agent we kind of decided that maybe I was ready to move on to the US market, and he is in the UK market. So we parted ways. And then I went into the query trenches all over again, trying to find an agent. So uh, I started querying in January, and I got my agent in June. And then I did two drafts with her. By this time, I had already done two more drafts. So, two more drafts with the agent. So, fifth draft went to the publisher. With the publisher, I did two drafts, and then a huge copy edit round with, like, I don't know, 18,000 insertions. I'm a terrible writer. So, I
See that.
I'm just a hack who has to keep going at it and at it and at it. And writing is very hard for me. It doesn't come easy. There's a reason why I'm a late writer. So it took a while. So yeah, the Blue Bar started in 2018 and got published in 2022. But the next one is now going to come out in 2023 in October.
Oh, that's
So
this year. Hey,
yeah, that's
you're picking up
yeah.
the pace.
Yeah, hopefully, let's see. I mean, I'm crossing fingers. I've sent in my developmental edits just now, so
Well, I talked to
let's
you
see.
last week and you were like 72 hours with no sleep to meet your deadline.
Yes, I was. My deadline had whooshed past. My deadline was on the 4th of January. So
But at least, I mean, you discipline yourself. You get stuff done.
No, it's just that it's hard for me because I'm not great at it, so I kind of have to keep at it. So I wrote 30,000 words, then I had to throw out 30,000 words, then I wrote another 30,000 words, and I threw those out.
Oh
So
my God.
obviously I missed the deadline, but thankfully my editor feels that it makes the story much more streamlined and stronger, and they felt that my way of doing it was better than what they had suggested, because it kind of is more organic to the story. So they kind of were like kind with me, and they're like, okay, you're right, it's fine, you do it.
I can't
So
imagine. I
they're
can't
being very
imagine
patient.
how it would feel to throw out 30,000 words. That's a lot of work. And then to,
Yeah, but what I do is I kind of send them out, some of or put them in my blog, or send them out in this one shot gazette that I have. So pieces that don't make it into the novel, and which are mostly a lot of character study or whatever, they kind of go out as these small snippets, short stories every month to my audience. And that seems to be something that drew a lot of people to the Blue Bar, because they had a lot of insight into the characters without knowing about the story, because later, after they read the book, they realized, oh, this was the backstory of this character, oh, this was the
oh,
origin
okay.
of this character. So I think nothing gets wasted, and even when
You
you
do,
throw
you find a way to use them. That's great. That's great. The thought of 30,000 words, like, no. Okay, I'm going to pause. We have some questions for you, so I'm going to pass up on the screen for you.
Mhm.
This one is from Karen. Are your characters based on people you know?
Mm, yes and no, because they are like a Frankenstein of a lot of people I know. So sometimes I like a certain trait in somebody, and I just have it at the back of my mind. Then I like the way someone looks, and then I have it there. So, and then the final character is somebody completely different, so you can't really identify saying it's this character, unless sometimes I have borrowed names subconsciously. So in You Beneath Your Skin, there's this character called Jatin Bhatt, who is the protagonist. And then immediately my fashion school classmates were like, isn't that Jatin Bhatt, who was our principal in our school? And I was like, oh yeah, but I had not thought of it. But he had this personality, like very straightforward, very in some ways aggressive. He has his mustache, and tall and broad, and kind of very trying to get results all the time. So I kind of, without thinking about it, I kind of picked his name and put him there. But the other traits that are there, they're not Jatin Bhatt at all, but the name is definitely him.
But you didn't see that at first.
I didn't. It only, I could figure it
That's
out only after somebody
fun.
told me, after it was published, a few months after publication. As it happens, right? People find out about the book, by a word of mouth. And then one of my friends told me this, and I was very amused.
And it's funny how, I mean, I say this a lot, but as authors, you're going to find something of the author's life in their books. Always. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Somewhere, for
Somewhere.
sure.
Yeah, somewhere.
For
And
sure.
I said before, my dad used to love Guinness. And my dad was an author, and all his characters love Guinness. I'm like, Dad, you really got to find another drink. Because it's the one drink that he loves. And every book I read of his, they're all drinking Guinness. But he didn't see it. He did not see it until I pointed it out. But yeah, all his
Readers, I think, are far more intelligent, and they're far better read. I think they're wiser than authors any day. They're wiser than me in any case. So,
Okay, here's another question for you from Sherry. She says, do your books publish on different dates in different countries? That's an interesting question.
hi Sherry, thank you so much for the question. It depends on the contract. So in some cases, if it is if they have taken world rights, then it'll publish on the same day. So if they've taken world rights and they're going to make it available in certain countries, then they are going to publish it on the same day in all countries. But if it so happens that you've just sold the US rights or the UK rights, and then at a later date you sell another country's rights. For example, you've sold it in the UK, that's your primary market, but then it's crossed over and you managed to sell it in the US as well. Then the two books will have different dates, and in some cases, different covers. And of course, you have to change it for the American audience, so some language differences. So, yeah, then there would be different dates, slightly different books, sometimes different covers.
And your books are available, ebooks, paperback. How about hardback and audio?
It's not on hardback, but it is on audio. And it is right now on Kindle Unlimited, the blue bar. And if you get it on Kindle Unlimited, you automatically get the audiobook for free. So that's the deal that's going on right now.
Excellent, excellent. Now, do you plot your books before you start writing, or are you a pantser and you just sit down and see what happens?
Well, I was an incurable, I thought, pantser during my first book, You Beneath Your Skin. That didn't get me, very far. Took me 8 years. So by the time I was writing the blue bar, I think I was marginally smarter. So I outlined a little bit, and then I pantsed my way through it. Now I've realized that inside me, I'm a pantser. Outlines kind of feel very restrictive, so I found a middle path, like the Buddha. So I kind of I have found a way where I put these on index cards. So my outlines are on colorful index cards, which kind of give me the illusion of non-outlining. And also they serve my pantsing side, because I can really change, the scenes around or very easily. So they're erasable labels, magnetized, and they're put on a board. So usually my very first draft nowadays, even before I write the outline, is on that board. And I have learned, with experience, that I'm the kind of person who will have an outline and then will veer from it.
Yeah.
Even in the copy editing stage for the blue bar, I cut out an entire chapter at the pass pages, stage, where it was about to go to the printer, and I was like saying to the editor, I don't think this chapter adds anything, and I think it lowers suspense. Do you agree? I think all you have to do is just change the chapter numbers. Would you be okay to do that? And the editor was like, yeah, I agree. So
Okay. That was
so
drastic.
yeah, but I have to outline a bit, because as a professional author, you are on deadline. So you have to give them some idea, right? They're going to give you
Mhm.
thousands of dollars, so they're not going to give it to you like they gave it to me blank for the sequels, which was nerve wracking, wrecking, devastating. But you do have to have some sort. I had to tell my agent I can do this, so then I had to write
Right.
like an outline,
And
something.
then, and then it's crunch time to meet that deadline. Now, how about the ending? Do you know the ending of your book before you begin writing? Or I'm sure it might have changed.
It's a yes and no, because well, if you're writing in a genre, then obviously there are certain genre expectations of an ending. So
Right.
you know that there are certain expectations. And for me, I always start drafting my crime novels from the point of view of the villain. So I need to know who the villain is first. I need to know who they are, what they did, why they did it. Then get on with my protagonist, because I feel it is the villain who drives a crime novel. So if you have a strong villain, and you have a villain who is like head to head with the protagonist, then the novel becomes interesting as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I need to know a bit about who did it, a little bit. Other things change. My
That
ending of
helps.
the year is totally different from the first draft. So a lot of things changed in the ending, but the who done it kind of
You
remains
have
the
to
same.
know. And then
Yeah.
Laurie has a question regarding this part of our chat. I want to put it up. Do your characters keep you up at night or try to change the story?
Well, I don't know, because sometimes I have this confusion about where I'm the character and where I'm not. I method act my way into writing. I'm not a trained writer, so I never got an MFA. I don't know how to write. Like I said, I'm a hack. So I'm forever hacking it, right? So sometimes I do stuff like I'm in my mind space. So, for example, I was writing about this for You Beneath Your Skin. I was writing about this boy who has autism, who's 14 years old, and he cannot stand on his plate. Everything has to be very individual. Like, there has to be a distance between every food item, and the sauce has to be like separate. Everything has to be separate when it comes to him on a plate. And then for a while, I realized I was doing that to like myself. And because I was telling my husband, you got the sauce mixed up. You got the sauce. And he's like, who are you? So I kind of, yeah, that happens. So then, yeah, sometimes at night I would like wake up suddenly thinking, oh, I need to get it written. But I do write it, but in the morning it's all nonsense. So I've given up.
It's
Nowadays,
all nonsense.
yeah,
I like that.
it makes no sense whatsoever. What I thought was a super brilliant idea at night, when I thought it'll change the world, that's like when I write it and I'm like, oh, nonsense. Chuck
Nonsense.
it.
Okay. All right. I want to move on to the Blue Bar. This is
Mhm.
your latest book, and that came out early. When did it come out again? I'm sorry.
1st of January, when the world was hungover and asleep.
Okay. And can you give us a little background to the book again without giving anything away? And then you're gonna give us a nice treat with a live read, correct?
can do that.
Yay.
The Blue Bar is is set in Mumbai. It is the financial Mumbai is the financial and glamour capital of India, and it's about a police inspector and a bar girl who are in love, and they don't know that they are being stalked by the same serial predator. So that's what the book is about. And
I'm already
as
intrigued.
you saw it, I mean, you can see it everywhere. My husband's made sure it's all like stacked behind me. It's very funny, but the book is dedicated to him, and I dare not break his heart by saying it all looks very corny. But all this decoration is his, and yeah. So
Okay,
me,
it's all yours.
yeah. So I'll wear my glasses because, of course, I'm blind without them. So, hmm, let me get a drink. Chapter 1, Tara, 2002, Borivali Station. Endings are overrated. There's only one true, certain end. Everything else, a load of bullshit, or how you call it, bakwas. Beginnings, though, beginnings are everywhere. It all began with that midnight colored sari, thick with dark blue sequins, its endless sea of shimmering dots stitched by hands that must have cracked and bled over the months of needle in and out of taut cloth in some dingy, godforsaken hole in one of Mumbai's stinking alleyways. The sari, draped well below Tara's navel, scratched against her skin. The low necked silver blouse scraped her shoulders, but she tried not to think about any of this or the sweat trickling down her back while she maneuvered through the crush of bodies. It had rained that afternoon, cooling the air, but not enough for the wide, dark shawl Tara had worn as per instructions. It was never cold enough in Mumbai for shawls, especially not on a platform at Borivali station during rush hour, which swarmed thicker than ants on a dead beetle. The voices of hundreds of men and women rose around her, red uniform porters yelling at everyone to stand back, squalling children, announcements of all the trains departing from or arriving in India's city of dreams. To reach the end of the platform, Tara elbowed her way through the milling passengers, many regional languages, body odor, perfumes. She pushed back against the women, stepping aside for the children and the men who hustled towards her in their rush to leave the platform. If she didn't give way to the men, they'd shove her at the shoulder if she was lucky, lower if she wasn't. She reached the finish line where she could step no farther without falling off the platform. A little stretch of emptiness in a cramped city. In the distance stood slums with their tin and tarpaulin roofs. Towering above them, shiny billboards advertising refrigerators and televisions, with posters featuring building sized faces of film stars, the drunken eyed Shah Rukh Khan, the dewy Aishwarya Rai, and the tall, lean figure of the heartthrob, all girls swooned over, the sweet, baby faced Karan Virani. At 17, Tara had learned enough not to swoon over a man, not even Arnav, the police constable who made her heart beat faster these days. She dismissed the posters and did as asked, stood facing the tracks as if poised to jump down and sprint after departing trains through scattered debris. She dug in her when she'd been brought to Mumbai in one of those trains 4 years ago. The stench of the city had overwhelmed her. She didn't notice it anymore, just like she took for granted her own change smell, talcum powder, and flowery perfume borrowed from the other bar girls. She could never leave, nor did she want to. She dug in her heels instead, the expensive, pointy toed silver shoes paired with her blue outfit, and ignored the passengers stepping off the train and navigating their way out of the mob of others waiting to board. Tara shifted her weight from one heel to another. She usually got lost in crowds. Most men and even a few women towered above her. Not anymore. She felt tall, and these were absolutely the most glamorous clothes she'd worn. Despite the whiff of dry cleaning each time she received them, she'd never looked better. Pity she wasn't allowed to wear these when gyrating at the bar where they'd have fetched her a shower of 100 rupee notes. Her boss never explained why he paid nearly as much for each of these weird trips to the railway station as she made in a month dancing to lewd Bollywood numbers. Sometimes she wished for more of these trips in a week. Don't be greedy, Tara, she scolded herself, the way her mother used to, in another life. The vibrating phone felt like a live thing in her hand. Shetty, the hefty, dark skinned owner of the bar, had given it to her a month ago, saying she must take care not to lose this toy with its cracked screen and tiny beetle buttons, or else. She pressed the green button he'd showed her, raised the phone to her ear, and said a shaky hello into it. Now, said a voice at the other end. She didn't recognize the speaker, but knew what to do.
Wow. I want
So
more.
that's part of the first chapter. Yeah.
Now,
For
what do
more,
you mean you can't write? That was amazing. That was really good. You had me. I'm like, oh no, she stopped already.
yeah.
Very good. You got me. I'm going to put some comments up for your reading. Thank you for reading to us. That was a treat. Your book sounds like a really good read. Karen says, loved it. Great read. Renee says, wow, that is so intriguing. And see, she even says the same. Want to hear more? Thank you
Yes, the
so
book
much.
has it all. It's in
Jonathan
Kindle.
says, loved it.
Oh,
And
that's great.
one more. Holly, she was here a minute ago. Holly, I'm sorry, but I saw your comment. She says she loved it. Here's another one. Melissa, brilliant. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Melissa. Melissa is a great friend and an amazing writer herself.
Oh, good. Yes. I saw a comment that I wanted to put up that just struck me as funny. But of course, now I can't. Oh, here it is from Sharon. I think your husband telling you to get a job has worked out very well for you.
I agree. Yeah, that's why the book is dedicated to him. His name appears no less than three times in the book. So,
Has he read your books?
well, he has to suffer through all the drafts. So, yeah, he, he's like the suspense is dead by the time like he's read a bit of the
Right.
book. He helped me brainstorm it, so he knows what happens. He knows who done it. So,
He's- well, what a great supporting husband, though.
yeah, he loves to tell people that he made me a writer, and very unfortunately, he's right. So,
He made you a writer.
yes. Well, I can't really argue with that because he was the one who kind of took me to workshops, like did everything basically. So
That's what.
yeah,
And
on my
and you have children?
no, no
Oh,
children.
okay. You have no children. Okay. I want to put this comment up for you. Dementi is such an amazing, hardworking writer. I can't wait to see
Oh,
what else she
Sabrina
writes.
is an amazing, amazing friend. You should check out her work. She is a very good writer as well. I this is the best part about writing, having friends come over and cheer you.
Oh yeah, I love it. And Sabrina is also an author. I have to check her out.
Oh, yes, she is. She is an author based out of Singapore, and she writes kid lit and all amazing kinds of stuff. It's you should check out her work.
Oh, I should
All
have her on my show.
good writers.
We should get her
I'm
on the show.
back in the group.
Yeah, if Sabrina wants to reach out to me, I'll put her on the show.
Oh, please, Sabrina, you heard her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm booked up a little bit, but I can put her on the calendar. I'd love to have her. That'd be great. More from Singapore. We'll have a Singapore authors.
Absolutely.
Oh, here's a question for you from Laurie. Maybe you should write a book together.
We could for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know how it'll go because, like I've been saying, I'm not such a good writer, so it
You
may not
are.
go
You
well
have
for
to.
partners with me, but I'm ready.
You have to stop saying that. You. From what you read right now, you are a gift. You are a gift. It was wonderful.
That's a lot of drafts. Nobody, one of the things that the reason I say this again and yet again is because I have been to so many author events, and in a lot of those events, I got the impression at that time that you just kind of sit down and write, and writing is so easy. But outside of the writing world, there's very little understanding of really how terribly hard it is, not just for hacks like me, but for really talented people as well. So I always try to keep it very real, because in some cases I was disillusioned. I was like, had I known, would I have stepped into this? So my idea of, whoever is starting on the writing journey and asks me, like, what is your best advice? I'm like, how far along are you? Like, if it's just 1 or 2 months, run away.
Yes, it is. And you have to really discipline yourself, as you know, to get the book written. It's not going to write itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I have what I call my cave, and I'll go up there like you hibernate, you hide away from the rest of the world, and then I come out and it's like, you went where? You did what? And I'm just writing,
Yeah, no social life. You have no life, period. So
no life at all. No. You have another book coming out in October 23.
Yes, October 23. It's going to be called The Blue Monsoon. The title just got decided yesterday. And it's a sequel to The Blue Bar. So it's the Blue Mumbai series that they bought. So this is The Blue Bar and then The Blue Monsoon. And it's also going to be set in Mumbai with the same protagonists, Arnav and Tara. But the cases are going to be, of course, the investigation is going to be a different one.
Wow. Now I have to ask this. Were you planning on this being a series when you wrote The Blue Bar?
Actually, that's a very funny story, because I kind of had this sort of ending which does not like lend itself to series potential, let's say, without giving away the ending of The Blue Bar.
Right.
And then by the time I queried it, all the agents who offered, so I had 4 offers from different agents, and every single one of them, who did not know each other from various parts of the USA, they had the same thing to say about the ending, which is like, change it. It should have series potential. And I was like, okay. And I was still kind of mulling over it. And my agent is the sweetest. She kind of never pushes me, but she kind of gently nudges me in the right direction. She knows I'm a camel. I need kind of a gentle handling. So when we went to the editor, so on the editor call, like the acquisition call itself, like when we spoke for the first time, me and my editor, she was like, my agent had prepped me, like, if she says anything about a series, like, don't jump and start cantering about and doing that. Like, sit there, just listen to her. And then it quickly became apparent that they would, probably prefer a series, and it kind of seemed like no series and probably no deal. So I came back from there, and then I had a chat with my agent, and then we said, okay. I was not pleased about the writing part of it. I was very good. I had a contract in the middle of a pandemic, but again, without giving away the sequel spoilers, because I don't know what's going to be in the blurb, right? So I don't know what counts as a spoiler now.
Right.
But the restrictions that the ending of The Blue Bar placed on me to write The Blue Monsoon, let's say I'm not a fan. I'm seriously not a fan.
And that's coming from the author.
But I think the book has come out the stronger for those restrictions, because those restrictions kind of challenged me to go into spaces I wouldn't have. And I think the best writing always comes from a place of fear and discomfort. When you're afraid of writing something, or when writing something makes you uncomfortable, pushing into that fear, leaning into those dark places, leaning into that area of the unknown which you would rather not step into, kind of leads to better work. That's what I feel.
And they always say, face your fears.
Yeah, I'd rather not, but yeah.
Now, do you know how many books this will be now that we have a series going?
I don't know. It all depends on how well you guys support the Blue Bar. If
Oh,
you
there you
support,
go. You hear that, readers? You got to support the Blue Bar. She'll keep writing
it
more.
all depends on, publishing is not art. Publishing is a business. It's all about
It certainly
sales.
is. It
Yeah.
certainly is.
A lot of
And
people like the Blue Bar. There will be a further
there'll be
series.
more. There you
Yeah.
go. That makes sense to me. And Judy has a question for you. She asks, do you pick the title of your books?
With the Blue Bar, yes, I did, and also with You Beneath Your Skin. And I was just fortunate that the title remained. So the Blue Bar was based on a bar in New Delhi when I was like a broke student, and I wanted to go to this really, really, really fancy bar, which still exists after all these years, and it's still very, very fancy. It's a five-star bar, and I couldn't go. And then when the book, when I started writing the book, the placeholder title was the Blue Bar, because you have to save it as something, right? The manuscript. You cannot be like the thing, one. So instead of the thing, it was the Blue Bar, and it kind of stuck, and the publisher liked it. With the second one, the Blue Monsoon, right now, if you go up on Amazon, it is available on pre-order, but you would see it's called the Blue Black Hair. That's because that's because that was my placeholder title, and that's how I had saved the manuscript and I sent it. And they kind of needed something to be put on pre-order, and it wasn't ready, so they just put it as the Blue Black Hair.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's not Blue Black Hair, it is actually going to be the Blue Monsoon. So in a day or two, if you check it again, it would have changed to the Blue
It'll
Monsoon.
change. It'll
Yeah,
change.
but if you keep a screenshot now, you can kind of torture me with it later.
Okay. Jennifer has a comment. She says, I want to see your book made into a TV series or movie.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer is the kindest. She's like the
She's a
sweetest,
sweetheart.
most supportive of people. She's been so supportive of my writing. Thank you so
She's a
much.
sweetheart. And I love her group, Tattered Page. She does
Absolutely.
she's very
That's
supportive of so many authors. She does a tremendous job. She's very well appreciated. And I want to put this comment up from Judy. She says, thank you for answering my question. You're a very interesting author.
cute, Judy. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. You're a very busy lady, well, of course, with your deadlines and your books. But when you're not writing, what do you like to do for you, for your me time? Hobbies, interests?
Well, I'm very boring. I mean, thankfully, I'm a writer now, so I have the excuse. I can say I'm a writer, so I can be like, writers can be anything, right? They can be
That's
weird.
right.
Nobody questions them. So I was weird and boring before I became a writer. So usually it's books. So if I could like, somehow overlook the mess and turn this place around, this is like a room which is completely like encased in books. So this is a place which I like. And this got a view of like outside the window. So I sit on the bay window and I read. So that's really my me time. But my husband says it's too much of books. So then I kind of go for walks. I love taking walks in nature. I like baking sometimes, and when I don't mess up, it kind of turns out okay. But yeah, sometimes they're more healthy than delicious, but you know it's all good.
It
It's
sounds
fun.
brilliant. Okay, you're an avid reader. Number one, what genres do you read? Well, I'm assuming what you write, but what genres do you enjoy, and who are some of your favorite authors?
Well, I kind of grew up reading a lot of the classics, because simply because I grew up in a dusty town in the center of India where you hardly got any books. There were no libraries, and my dad was a huge reader, and he had like the complete works of Shakespeare, Bernard Shaw, and we had the complete works of Chekhov. We had Maupassant's all his short stories. We had like Zola. So we had all these. We had Yeats, and we had the entire collection of Keats's poems. So I kind of, ended up reading, I was kind of reading Plato and Schopenhauer. I understood nothing, let's be very clear. But I read like, all these existential novels, Albert Camus. Again, I understood nothing other than, the fact that a man turned into a cockroach. And then I was like, what? What? So I read it mostly as a very depressing fantasy, but I wanted to read. Like, if you put me in a room and there's only like a shampoo bottle, I would be reading the directions and the ingredients. So That's what. So my reading has begun as very classical, then it went on to be very literary till I met my husband, who was a very big Tolkien fan. So I kind of started reading a bit of fantasy. I read some Harry Potter, and I read some, Hunger Games and stuff like that. And then I read the book that kind of got me into reading and writing crime, and which was Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. And In Cold Blood, it's about a horrific, grisly crime, and it's nonfiction. But it's written, it's creative nonfiction, but it's written with such utter dedication to truth, but also poetry, that it
Oh,
kind of hit me like under my chin. Like I was like flattened out by that book. It's a hard book to read, but it kind of, uh, opened me up to the possibility that you can write in that liminal space between literary writing and genre writing. So you could have something that has commercial potential but does have literary aspirations. And that's how I've ended up writing. My writing is not really entirely commercial, it's
hmm.
not entirely literary. It can be hard to sell or easy to sell depending on who's looking at it. So yeah, and I like authors who write in that space as well. uh, One of my favorite authors is this one. I mean, I think Melissa will know, and I think everybody would know, Margaret Atwood, The Blind Business.
Okay.
So I'm rereading this one. So she is one of my favorite authors. When it comes to crime, I read more books like Tana French is one of my go-to authors. I will read everything by Kate Atkinson, for
Okay.
example. I'll read Harlan Coben, quite a few. I've read Eunice books, but very, very gory. I have read some of Karen Slaughter. I like the latest ones. I mean, I read Mary Kubica, who I kind of enjoyed. So I do read a lot more crime now. I've read horror, of course, a lot of Stephen King, and especially
Right.
his Mercedes series, which is like more of the at the detective end of things. So it's kind of very eclectic. So, or maybe another book that I can show you, which I would really
Karen
recommend.
Slaughter. I've read a few of her books. I think it's the Grant series. The Grant series. Karen Slaughter. I've read that one. That
Yes,
series. Which
and
one's
this one is another I love very much. It's at the literary end of things. Is
okay?
Jose Margot, The Elephant's Journey. And if you, some of you will hate it, and some of you will hate me for suggesting it. But if you try to read one page, it looks like this, and there are no commas and no punctuation.
Oh, good
There's nothing.
lord.
So it takes you some time to get into it, but if you manage to read the first 2 or 3 pages, it's very
Then it
rewarding.
just comes automatic, and you just kind of put them in as you're reading. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
then you either curse Damyanti out and toss the book into the bin, or you get to reading it.
Oh wow.
But who knows? That I don't know. But I recommend it.
No commas and no periods. That's a new one. Judy has another question for you. She's asking, how do you celebrate your new book, the Blue Bar?
I'm doing it right now. I'm celebrating it with you guys. I mean, this book didn't have a book launch other than in a book group, so I had it. Some of you might have been to the first chapter fun group where Hank Philippi Ryan and Hannah Mary McKinnon, they read out the first chapter. So Hank, who's won gazillions of Emmys, read out like the first chapter of the book, which was, I'm so glad that she read it a long time ago and people may have forgotten, because my reading was like crap compared to hers. So that was really the launch, and there hasn't really been a book launch. I'm celebrating every day with all the readers I meet, with everybody who kind of tags me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram saying, I got your book,
Isn't
or
that
I read
great?
the ARC, but I still got the audiobook, or I still got the paperback. And yeah, that's really, yeah, that's validating. I think readers make a writer. A writer can, you can finish a book. I can finish a book, but you complete it, right? Only when you read it is a book completed.
Yeah.
So
When a
that's how I'm
reader
saying.
when a reader reaches out and acknowledges that they have your book or leaves a review or tags you, it just really feels good. Or recommends your book.
It
It
makes you
really
feel
should.
so happy.
It does. It really does. And I appreciate every time that happens.
Absolutely.
Where did it go? Karen had a question and now I can't find it. Karen, you went away. Oh, here it is. She's asking, what genre won't you read, if any?
This might earn me a lot of brickbats again, but
Uh-oh.
okay, but I'm safe behind the screen. I'm in Singapore. You guys can't get me. If you take a flight to come hit me, you earned it. So, well, I don't think I can get into vampires somehow. I have tried. I really, really,
Okay.
really tried. I could not. There was this very famous one, right? I wanted to read it for its storytelling. Um, mm, the very famous vampire one with the apple cover.
Oh, I can see the cover and I can't think of it. Throne?
Twilight. Twilight.
Twilight. There we go. Yeah.
So I tried my level best to read it, but no joy. After a while, all that, that entire, the gaze falling here and the gaze falling there, and the entire blood and all of that, and the teeth coming up. I don't know, something about vampires.
I
I can
can't
take
do it.
others.
Vampire and werewolves. I just
I can
can't.
read other paranormal, whatever, but
Mhm.
somehow the vampire books, I sometimes have to review them because my friends write them and I review them. And then I start with a caveat. Here's somebody who does not like reading vampire fiction, but my very nice friend has written this book. So take that. Because I kind of am honest because
Yeah.
it's better that way.
That's
Because
good. That's good that you do that. That really is. Okay,
readers,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, tell me.
No, go, because mine is going to be the final question. So get it in.
No, I just meant to say that reviews are for readers. They are readers who write reviews, and they write it for other uh, readers. And when I try to review something, I do it as a reader and not as an author. As an author, I understand what it takes. So I
Right.
will try not to review anything that, I can't give 5 stars to. But other than that, I feel reviews should be honest, and they should be for readers first and foremost. That's who they are for. They're not for authors.
I agree 100%. That's a good rule to go by. Now, my final question, for someone that wants to become a published author,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them?
Well, if you've ignored the advice about running away and still want to be a
Point.
author, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about writing about writing, thinking about writing, but actually doing the writing is where it is. But in chair, and then it comes with a bit of practice. Try and see how much you can dissociate from the writing, so you can leave your ego out the door and take feedback. So in the beginning, feedback used to sting for me for like a month. Then I reduced it to like a week. Then I reduced it to a day. Now it stings for like 5 minutes before I'm ready to. And that makes you that if you can take feedback very fast and actually use it, then you become a better writer much faster. So
Brilliant advice. I love that. I do. You're right. You got to get a tough skin and don't let it sting too much for the reviews. Perfect advice. This has been a wonderful chat. This really has, but I do want to just spend a couple of minutes on the giveaway. You're being very generous doing a giveaway. So I want you to let our readers know what you're giving away.
mhm. So I'm giving away a copy of the Blue Bar, this one, and I am giving away some of these bookmarks. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
them. Yeah, these
love it.
bookmarks, a few of those. And sorry, I should have kept them within reach, but there they are. Uh, some of these postcards. So,
Nice.
and like that. So
I love
with the
those.
they come with a QR code, so you can always keep in touch with me. And so, yeah,
Perfect.
that's what I'm
Okay,
giving
I want
away.
to ask. This is one giveaway: the postcard,
Hmm.
the bookmark, and the book.
Hmm.
Nice giveaway. Thank you so much. That's generous of you.
Whoever
And
wants it, this comes as a set.
it's going to be signed, and it will be U.S. only.
It's going to have a book plate. It's going to be US only. It can't be signed because then if I sign and send it from here,
Oh, because you're in Singapore. That's right. Hello.
it's going to be very hard. But it does have a signed book plate, which you can see on social media. So that
Perfect.
also has that, it has a quotation, it has my signature and that drawing. Yeah.
Perfect. And you've asked if I'll pick a winner for you, which I will gladly do. I'll
Yeah.
announce it in the group and on my author page in a couple of hours because I want to
Mhm.
go through and see who's here. And I'll tag you and I'll have the winner reach out to you and give them the details. That sound good?
Wonderful. That sounds absolutely perfect. I always like being in touch with readers and, not just about the giveaway. I'm very approachable on social media as well. That's how I make most of my
Yeah.
friends. I stay at home. So,
Well, I loved
uh,
having you in the group a couple of weeks ago for your takeover. That was brilliant. I
yes,
loved it. And come back anytime you want in the group. I'd love to have you. When you
thank you,
get your book coming out in October, let's get you back on the show too for that. I'd love to have you for that.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
And I'm
I
going
know.
to do my regular giveaway, which is the $5 Amazon gift card, which I do every time on a chat. Most of you know how this works. You need to go to my author page, Tina Hogan Grant, and share this video. Share it in your favorite group, share it on your page, share it with your friends, and you will be entered into the $5 Amazon giveaway. But you need to tag me on your share post so I know that you shared. And I'll also announce that tonight. So, again, thank you so much for joining me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tina.
And
I
feel
really,
free, oh, yeah, and feel free to go through the comments afterwards. Any questions that we might have missed, if you want to answer, that'd be great. But I'll let you say a few words to our readers and then we'll call it a night.
I think I've said all the words I had to say to the readers. I love you all. Without readers, we authors wouldn't exist. And it's not just the fact that you buy the books or that you review the books, but it's also an exchange of energy because just like in theater, it's immediate because when you are giving energy, you're getting energy back. But with readers, it's slower. But what's very fascinating is it can happen years later. So there are still people who write to me about You Beneath Your Skin. And that's an amazing boost on a day when I feel like I can never write another word again. So if you guys have ever asked yourself, should I write to an author? Always the answer is always yes. If you're writing with a word of encouragement, you have no clue, you might be saving the author's life that day in very literal terms. So thank you so much for loving books and for reading and for engaging with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Thank you again. Good night, everyone.
Good night.